Once upon a time, there was a prehistoric man living with his family in a cave, along with his community. Each and every day, he got up when the darkness receded. The cave was illuminated enough to know it was time to go on foraging expedition. He and a few others went on a gathering and hunting journey to collect food and return before the nightfall. A few others went to fetch water and wood from the nearby areas. They lived harmoniously, dividing work among themselves. In the evening, all of them sat together and entertained themselves with stories of their adventures, courage, and about the outside world. A few among them told stories of different animals they witnessed. A few among them painted the walls with what they saw to describe the scenes to others. As the days went by, they became comfortable, and yet there was an unknown fear gripping each and every one due to the past experiences. They all knew they cannot become too comfortable. Comfort always led to a certain problem. In the past, whenever they became too comfortable in some place, some mishap always occurred. So, they were always on a move, searching for the next best place, where food and water was abundant. A couple of years ago, they were living in the hotter region than their present abode, where many rivers flowed and food was abundant too. Suddenly one day, the ground shook violently, the rocks around their cave moved against them, hurting a few. The opening of the cave closed from the inside. A big chunk of rock fell from above the mountain cliff, blocking it. They thought it was the end of the world, and before they knew, the shaking stopped. The rock that blocked their cave was pushed aside by everyone in desperate measure to escape from this horror. They were free and tended to injured for the next couple of days. But the place started making everyone scared for their lives. A few rocks that fell inside the cave also shortened the space. Water kept dripping from cracks above. They started their travel after the injured healed enough to make the journey across the forests. They traveled along the course of the river, as they could always find food and water. They saw the water flow downwards, and thought that, as the ground shook beneath them, they need to go higher into the mountains to be able to escape this wrath. But before they knew, a storm was rising in the horizon. They took shelter inside a shallow cave. As per their experience, they understood that a little rain would fall. Thereafter, it will stop, and they can begin their travel again. But all of a sudden there were big noises, and what followed horrified them. The sky split open into two by a bright moving light, and where it fell, everything turned dark. Fire spewed when it hit a tree, and then another moved somewhere. The moving light engulfed the whole horizon. They had always heard it from inside their cave, and never witnessed it in all its glory. It mortified everyone among them. They were more scared than before, and thought, now it was surely the end of the days, as sky itself started falling down. Their life within moments turned dire when the storm made a flash flood down the mountain. Some among them were swept away in an instant, a few luckily survived. They didn't sleep for days and nights, thinking end was near, and why were they spared? After a few days, when it seemed everything became normal, they undertook a rigorous journey down the mountains towards grasslands. They thought they would be safe from these wraths there. They were chased by ferocious beasts there in packs. They again took shelter in a cave, this time away from large mountains, inside a small hill, their numbers lesser than before due to casualties, and they had to start their life anew. This kept happening with them for a long time. They thought it was the end of the world, and yet somehow they survived. They kept surviving and they kept growing. Each time someone died, they mourned. Each time someone new joined their community, they rejoiced. Soon their numbers were greater than before, and they found that it was better to be prepared for whatever may come than to think it as the end of the world. They kept searching for new ways to defend themselves, and kept inventing new weapons. From bones of animals, they built spearheads. From wood, they made sticks, used creepers of the trees to tie the joints. From rocks they made scrappers, borers, flakes, and they kept improvising. They started recognizing signs of storms and thunders and floods and adapted accordingly. They knew one thing, that if they became too comfortable with what they had, then that will be the end of them. They taught their ways to their next generation and left them with stories, and soon their stories became legends of courage and adventure. They were also learning lessons, and everyone down the line learned some or other thing from their stories.
Survival is the utmost priority of any animal, and will come first, always. When it is faced with dire situations, it will adapt. Survival coupled with intelligence gives rise to complexity. Coming to the present, we are intelligent creatures who know many things and try to reason it with understanding. I once read a book called Who Moved My Cheese? By Dr. Spencer Johnson that made me stop and think. Animals, in his book, Mice, don't stop and overthink about how the cheese got finished. Instead, they would just move on to the next stop where they may find it, or to the next, until they find it. But what about humans? Intelligence make us question everything and allow us to reason with most, and sometimes to the extent of extinction of the sense of self. We sit there for hours thinking that something should have been like this rather than plainly accept it for what it is. We don't understand where the dividing line of productive thinking and overthinking lies, as they are both result dependent. We give up sometimes, before the results make us think otherwise. We keep forgetting one basic thing: we don't know all the parameters. And even if someday we get to know them, like in present times, we know about weather systems and their working, earthquake and its working, thunder and lightning and their working, yet we still can't accurately model or pinpoint where the next may hit. We always will be, as such, poor in terms of information, and by itself, knowledge. But our intelligence also has a side called ego, which doesn't let go of things that easily. It made us achieve great heights. At the same time, it also gave us liberty more than we could afford in the moment, to the extent of mutual extinction itself. It is that part of self, badly mixed with curiosity, which allowed us to build many things to protect ourselves from many calamities and strive forward, sometimes while drowning us in praises. Yet, it is also that part, which doesn't know when or where to stop. Balance is seldom achieved, as balance is like a card game. We always believe that success will be achieved in the next game, and seldom one gets. So when to stop, or should you even stop? Well, what if you succeed in the next trial of an invention? All the earlier 99 times you failed would be a lesson for others to not follow that path. Your success may define something, but your failure will keep defining you for yourself. How to find where balance lies then? Hope is the mixture of all the above examples, and still an incomplete part in itself. It is completed by the void within each and every one of us. To know it in detail, check out my book in the description of this video. So to simply say it, hope can be a change in pace, when after a grueling day at work, you look at a sunset and feel a sense of relief, and you hope a coffee might just brighten your day. You hope for the next day to be better than today, when you face a lot of failures and your intelligence seems to be in question. You hope that a vacation will feel good and hope that things will go according to plan, but even you know they won't, and yet somehow and somewhere, you hold on to hope. Hope is the answer to everything where things are not in our hands, and we just expect somehow survival mode isn't activated. Hope actually cures many problems in life. We think all of the problems are accruing in our life. Just take a step back and see life through the lens of experiences. That part is actually done by hope, knowingly or unknowingly. Try to recall a really bad day, and you will actually realize that somehow at the end of that day, suddenly you were looking forward to something eventful or simply were content, and you didn't know why. If you think something bad is happening to you, take it as an experience, and think of how best you can solve it, than avoiding it or augmenting it in your mind with questions. Questions whose answers you may never know. The cycle of whys is problematic in itself. Why this happens with me, why I feel this way, why I am like this, why I am treated like this, why people don't like me, etc. can be cured on your end and in your perspective only. Everything else, including the other people's actions, reactions, which are not in your control, cannot be helped by anyone, including you. Some cycles of questions are self-depreciating in themselves. It depreciates our own value for ourselves inside our mind, which is more complex than you think. Each time you believe your worth to be something, your mind also syncs itself to that frequency, and it becomes too difficult to let go of it in later stages of life. If you think something really hurts you, look at it from different perspective. The depths you can reach to feel something, which others seldom do. You will feel an unknown bliss sweeping your feet away. If there is a writer's block, write about what's blocking the thought process, and a new perspective, a new experience, a new understanding will emerge. Hope doesn't make life bearable. It makes us see life through experiences because we keep forgetting that life is limited, time is limited for us, and we are just a small human being in a vast universe. How big can our problem really be? When nothing makes sense, just rely on hope and hope for the best.